Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today has been an entrepreneur for many years and started a number of successful business ventures in Florida, including a sinkhole drilling business and a moving company. He is a real estate investor in Florida and also owns a real estate brokerage. He and his wife founded a nonprofit organization serving and lived as missionaries in Honduras for 3 years. Gavin Welch is the broker at Guarantee Realty. Gavin, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Hey, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to learn about what you're doing in real estate. So to kick things off, do you want to tell us about your real estate goals right now? What are you looking to accomplish?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of real estate goals. I have my personal realtor goals for myself. I did 50 transactions as a realtor last year myself. I want to try to double that, do 100 myself. I've got goals for the brokerage, investing goals. I want to pick up 2 more rentals this year that are mine. And I want to flip a couple houses this year. Gotcha.
So when you're sitting down and looking at what you want to accomplish, what's your mindset? Are you looking at, with your investments doubling income or doubling dollar value, doubling units? Like what's your mindset?
Let me be very clear. I want to retire like a rock star.
Nice.
I'm not going to apologize. I want like an 80-foot sailboat. I want to sail around the world. I want to have fun. I want to travel, and I want income on it.
Yeah.
I call me greedy. Okay, it's fine. I'll take the hit, but that's what I want. That's my goal. My goal is to retire really well.
Yeah. And so are you, like, with that end goal in mind, the Rockstar Lifestyle, is that something you really take to heart every year when you're looking at how you want to grow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at cash flow, passive cash flow.
Yeah.
Building passive cash flow. Okay, what property can we refinance, buy another property, cash flow that, pay off the mortgage, and then keep repeating the cycle.
Yeah.
My ultimate goal is to have about 24 properties free and clear.
Nice. And what's your timeline? When do you want to retire?
I would like to have retired last week. But to be really honest with you, I may never retire.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy working. I really like real estate, but I want the option.
Yeah. So so you don't really have like a.
I don't have a set date. Like on Tuesday of 2025, I'm done. I just may never retire. I need to stay busy. My wife probably would, if I sat around the house all day, would go nuts. And I took a year off. Just a mentor of mine was diagnosed with cancer, and I was like, I don't need the money. Let me take a year off. I took about a year off, and I was bored. I mean, it was awesome. I got to spend time with my mentor and do all kinds of great things. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, hey, friends, let's go do something. Like, oh, we got to work. I'm like, okay. I gotta go back to work.
Yeah. and real estate obviously gives you that flexibility once you've built up your business to a decent level.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So do you have any routines that you go through maybe daily or weekly, monthly, that really keeps you hungry?
Well, and I'm probably not the most disciplined person in the world, just to be really honest with you.
Yeah.
I could be a lot more disciplined than I am. My focus right now is my kids and my family. So, I get up 3 times a week. I go to the gym first thing. I come back in the office. I make calls. I have a schedule. Do I follow it tooth and nail? No, to be honest with you. Sometimes I'm trying to do something and something comes up, or, I think tomorrow I'm going on a field trip with my son, and, it's a little loosey-goosey.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, rock stars don't have schedules. So.
Well, I guess not. I could be a little bit more disciplined about it, but yeah.
Yeah. So how many properties do you have right now in your portfolio?
Okay. So right now I'm personally holding 2 free and clear rentals. I'm partnered on what was 4. We just moved down to 2. I'm holding some lots that we're going to build on. What else do I have? I got to look at the board. Hold on a minute. I think that's it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Yeah.
Okay. So you're about halfway there to your goal, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm about halfway there. last year with starting a brokerage and doing some other stuff, and I did not have a ton of time to do the investing stuff. I'm going to purchase a third one here in the next couple of months. The market's changed.
Yep.
I don't know if you've seen that, but it's now a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market. So I'm going to wait a little while until I can get some deals, and I love deals.
Yeah, that's the time to do it.
Exactly.
And as you were acquiring your properties, did you ever try some strategies that you thought would work and didn't end up working out?
No, I've been very fortunate. The first two properties I bought, we had a drilling company that did really well. And I was like, holy crap, I've got a lot of money. What do I do with it?
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging. I'm just being like, wow, I've got a lot of extra income. So I was like, I want this income to last. So I went out and bought the first property, and I didn't tell my wife. I do not recommend that. Well, and my dad's a real estate investor. I've been doing it my entire life. My brother's a real estate investor. They're also professionals, but they buy properties. And my dad's probably got, 15 or 20 rental properties over the years that he's bought. We've renovated houses as kids. I have pictures of tearing down walls. And so it was normal to me. It was not normal to my wife. So she was a little upset. But then after the monthly checks start coming in the mail, it's direct deposit in our account every month. It's mailbox money. She's like, okay, now this makes sense. Now I get it. So, I have not had a purchase strategy that has not worked. So the first two I bought cash. And then you're talking about one of these good deals that I've had. I ran into a lady in our grocery store, and she's talking to another old lady, and she's like, I've got like 45 properties. I just wish I could sell them. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, excuse me. Hello. Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me. So she's like, okay, we'll come over to my house next week. And I don't even know the addresses. And this lady she's probably in her mid 70s, whips out a spiral binder with all of these addresses. And she's never been to half of these houses. So I wrote down like every address, boop, boop, this address, that address, this address, that address. So I went and I cherry picked the 4 best properties, and they were already rented. She's like, I don't know when people have paid. I don't know when they haven't paid, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I'm like, well, can I buy all of them? She's like, sure, I'll sell them all to you. I'm like, could I wholesale them? She's like, yeah, I don't care. As long as somebody buys them, I don't care. So I said, okay, fine. So I cherry picked the 4 best properties. I said, listen, I'm going to spend all my cash giving you a down payment. She's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what do you want? She's like, well, I'd like to sell these. And do this and that. I'm like, would you consider holding the note for 5 years? She's like, okay, I could hold the note for 5 years. I'm like, okay, well, could I do no payments for 6 months? She's like, okay, if you give me a down payment. I'm like, great. Well, I didn't have like any liquid cash. So I called my brother and said, hey, send me $20,000. He's like, what? I'm like, send me 20 grand. We're going to be in partners. He's like, okay. So he sent me 20 grand. I took his 20 grand, gave it to the seller. I bought 4 properties, no payments for 6 months. I negotiated for like $600 a month for 4 properties for 5 years. So, I'm taking in about $4,000 a month on these 4 properties. No payments for 6 months. I'm snowballing the cash. When you get tenants that have not like been on the reservation, they haven't been paying rent, they don't want to pay rent again. Mm-hmm. So I knew that was a part of it. So over time, I changed out all the tenants. I had to evict 1 and renovated the houses. So at the end of 5 years, we just hit the 4.5 year mark. I went and I sold 2, paid off the other 2. So I was free and clear, except for about 10 grand. $10,000. So what I did is I went and took a bank loan out for $50,000, gave my brother the 20 back that he originally put in, took my money back. And so we held 2 properties. I have like a $50,000 mortgage on 2 properties that both are worth over 100 grand.
Nice. And were those, doing those 4 deals, was that your first time into investing yourself?
No. I had properties. That was my first step into using other people's money. That was my first one time getting creative and going, okay, well, I just sat down and said, what do you want? She goes, well, I don't know. I'm like, do you want cash flow? Do you want this? She's like, I'd like to sell. I'm like, well, I don't have that kind of money sitting around. Would you take 20,000 down, no payments for, 6, 8 months, whatever, because I'm doing the math. I'm like, these things are generating $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
So, in 6 months, I got 20 grand back. So, so that's kind of how we did it. Just renovated the properties and sold two at a profit, paid off the other two, and boom.
Yeah. And I'm always curious too, because you're mentioning about paying off all the properties, and then other people will say, well, I want to leverage them to keep growing their portfolio. What prompted you to go along the path of paying down the properties instead of having a leveraged portfolio?
Okay, leverage equals risk.
Mm-hmm.
The more leverage you use, the more risk you have. If the market shifts tomorrow and you're over leveraged, guess what's going to happen?
Yep.
You're starting back at square one. So I don't mind leveraging two properties to pay for one,
mm-hmm.
because no matter what happens, your cash flow covers it. But when people want to pull out 90% of equity,
yeah,
and then the market crashes, and they're like, "Oh, it's not my fault; it's the market fault." So great, I'm glad you can leverage, but you've got to leverage equals risk. So you've got to use the leverage carefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no, that's definitely a good message. And would you say, do you think you'd be investing in real estate if you hadn't have grown up around it, with your father?
I guess I'm not as smart as I'd like to think I am.
Most of us.
I don't understand stocks. I mean,
Yeah.
I have lost. Everybody goes, "Oh, I got this hot stock, buy the stock," and every time I lose my shirt. My friend's like, "Oh, buy Bitcoin. You got to buy Bitcoin." So I took $1,000. I turned that $1,000 into like $100 in like a week. I'm like, I'm killing it, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Obviously sarcastically, but I don't understand these things. I understand real estate. I understand you take an asset, you put somebody in it, you can leverage it. They're paying me $600, $800, $1,000 a month. I pay the bank $500 a month. I got $500 cash flow, and I own it, and I get equity over time.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. I'm a simple man. That math works.
Yeah.
I don't understand. We're going to short stocks and do this and do that and do that. If you can't write it in crayon, I won't understand it. So I just like to keep things really simple and clean, and real estate does that.
Yeah. And what kind of lessons did your father pass down to you about investing?
Yeah, there is. We did all kinds of stuff. He bought a house, moved the house, sold a lot for more than he bought the house and lot for. So we physically moved a house. He bought a funeral home that came with a body. and then he did something else and tore it down. But he knew there was a post office going in nearby, which like doubled the value up.
Mm-hmm.
So now he can drive. When I see him, he can drive the neighborhood and go, okay, this house is worth that. This one's worth that. I've been through that one. That one has this problem. This one has that one. Because he buys in all these neighborhoods. So there'll be neighborhoods where he owns half the neighborhood. So he's taught me just a lot of lessons about seeing the potential of the houses, of what's going on, looking at the market. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. We did most of our labor ourselves when I was a kid. Because there wasn't OSHA back then. No, I'm just kidding. Because child labor is cheap. So we put roofs on and off and done all kinds of crazy stuff, and that's. It makes sense. You're restoring something and you're making money on it, and it makes sense.
Yeah. And would it be safe to say that gave you a leg up versus other investors starting out?
Yeah, because there is so many experts, and there's so much analysis, and there's so much get this, get that, seeing what's going on. It's good to have a network of people that you're networked around. Like as far as investor wise, you can go, hey, people you trust, you go, is this a deal, or is this looks like a deal but it's not a deal? Is this, what's going on with this? Do you think this would work? It's good to have somebody that you trust you could bounce those things off of, because sometimes you people that don't know real estate and don't understand investing are going to look at you like you're crazy. But if you do the exact same thing everybody else does, you're going to get the exact same result. And most people are broke. That's just the reality of it. They may, I drive a 12-year-old car. I don't care about my car. I don't care. But you know what? I have free and clear properties.
Yeah.
So, that's just, don't be afraid to do something different. It'll pay off. It's a long-term strategy. It's not a get rich quick. There is no lottery winnings. It's just how the game works.
Yeah. And you mentioned you have a couple properties where you have partners, like a JV opportunity. For somebody watching who's never experienced a JV before, can you explain the difference and some benefits of partnering with somebody?
Well, let's say you have no money.
Yeah.
but you want to invest in real. I mean, let's just be honest. Let's say I have no money, but I want to do this. So like, I call my brother and say, I don't have any cash right now. What do you got? And we do cash calls all the time. We call them cash calls. He'll go, I got this deal. How much cash you got? I got this deal. What do you got? How much? So we go back and forth, and I've got a couple guys like that, hey, I got this deal. Send me some money. Hey, I got this. Send me some money. And we've done it so much that we trust each other. But if you've got no money, leverage somebody else's money. Be a 50% owner. I own 2 properties that I have zero money in. What do I have in it? I have time, and I manage them. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest things that I really love, if you're here in the States, is find somebody like a professional, a doctor, a lawyer, or something like this, who has a self-directed IRA, because then you can make all that income tax-free for them. Mm-hmm. There's 14 ways to skin a cat, and I use my IRA. I lend it to people, and they send it back, and then I lend it other places. And self-directed IRAs are great because they're a huge tax shelter. You've got some doctor who's busy, works 90 hours a week, and makes 3% in the stock market, and you go, hey, how about if I make it 10%? What? Oh, by the way, it's guaranteed by real estate. So if I flake, you own a house. You interested in that? Yeah. What do I have to do? Nothing. Just write me a check out of your IRA. Really? I don't have to do anything? Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a deal and you don't have the money, find somebody who has the money or an experienced investor and go, hey, what's going on? Let's partner on this. If you want to learn property management, find somebody doing it and say, hey, can you teach me? I'll go do an eviction for you, or I'll do something, or what do you not want to do? I'll go out and put signs or lock boxes or whatever, mm-hmm. Whatever you got to do to figure it out.
Yeah. And do you see yourself, as you keep building your portfolio, partnering with other people, or do you think from this point on, you're just going to be doing deals on your own?
No. I'll always partner with people. I like, I can do stuff on my own, and that's fine, but I like partnering with people because, I learn stuff from you. You learn stuff from me. Let's work together. There's no sense in being a lone ranger when you're out by yourself. It's not a good place to be because you can easily make a mistake.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I partner with a lot of investors. Yes, I have a real estate brokerage, but most of my clients are investors from Italy to Australia to Germany. A lot of them are not here, and they trust me. And I market directly to sellers, distressed sellers, and stuff like this, and door knock, and go say, hey, you haven't mowed your lawn in 8 years. You want to sell your house? And that's how I find good deals. And I find it for my partners. And if they have money, great, they can take it down. And if they don't, then great, let's come up with a plan to get you in this place, get a rental going for you.
Yeah, no, for sure. So how has getting into real estate and the investing changed your life? Like, how has it shifted things?
I've had, traditional jobs, and I am not a good employee. Let's just be very honest. You don't want me sitting in your cubicle, because I will be like, you ever seen the movie Mutiny on the Bounty? I will be like rallying the troops against you. And it's just, I don't know. I have had my own businesses and made money doing my own thing. And from that day forward, it made me functionally unemployable. Now, I have had good jobs, but like the last corporate job I had, I was like, look, I am never going to come into this office. I'm not going to sit in this cubicle. I'm not going to drive over here to go to a safety meeting about not drinking Coca-Colas because a bee might fly into it. I'm not going to go into a freeze warning meeting. This is Florida. I'm not going to waste my time with all your corporate stuff. So if you want me, here are my conditions. And they're like, oh, yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Are you sure? They're like, yeah, we can. Okay. Because I'm like, this is how I operate. And I'm sorry, but this is, I've learned this over the years that, so real estate has taken me out of the employee mindset. I got to work for a paycheck. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to the employer paycheck. Yeah. I'm an employer. I can generate money. I can generate money by time. I can, drive for dollars. I can dial for dollars. There's money out there to be made in real estate investing. Even, let's say you have $0, but you have a phone. Okay, great. Start calling people. Start, it's a numbers game. The more conversations you have, eventually you'll find a deal. There's distressed sellers all over the place. You can call code enforcement. Who has the biggest violations? Well, this $50,000 house has $300,000 worth of code violations. Great. That sounds like a guy who might want to sell. Mm-hmm. Probates, where somebody's passed away, somebody inherits a property, you name it, foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, just straight door knocking people in the neighborhood. Hey, did you see the house down the road sold for a record price? Ever thought about selling your house? Great. Oh, the roof is shot? Great. No problem. I can get you an offer in a week.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have no money, you have time, and you can invest your time. You can find a deal, sell it to somebody, either sell the deal to somebody who has money, make some money, reinvest that in your business, or partner with them.
Yeah.
Money is the easiest thing to find. I know this sounds totally crazy. Money's everywhere. And if you have a great deal, you will find the money.
Yeah. And how did, speaking of money, you know, you had your successful, you know, sinkhole business and all that. How did real estate help you keep more of that money?
Well, because okay, so true story. We had this single business. I got like a bunch of loans, and I was working full time. I was also getting up at 4 a.m. starting this sinkhole business. I was sending the crews out in the morning. I'd be in the back in the evening. I was working on weekends. I was working. So true story. I went to the post office. You know, we had like $150,000 in loans. You know, it was a stressful period. I opened a check. We got a check from one of our vendors, and the check was for $80,000 for 1 month. I looked at it and I didn't even think about it. I was going through, you know, power bill, here's this, here's that. I got the check. I'm like, okay. And I thought it was $8,000. So I get in my truck and I look at it. I'm like, holy crap, that's $80,000. I barely made that last year, you know, and I have a college degree. I've been working 20 years and I just made more in a month than I made almost last year. So I was like, okay, so I've got to do something different now that, you know, I have this income. I got to pay off the debt, obviously. So I'm like, I want to take this money and I want it to last forever. I want to leverage this money to make more money in the future. I'm like, how do I do that? And I'm, you know, so for like weeks, I'm like, okay, all right, you know, now what do I do? You know, we didn't take a vacation. We didn't do anything. I'm like, what do I do with this money? You know, do I pay off my house? Yes, I can do that. How do I take this money and make it last forever? Because I'm like, this business is a short-term business. I'm like, it's only the law was going to change. I'm like, once they change the law, I'm out of business. So I'm like, I've got one chance to take this chunk of money and expound it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did.
Yeah. No, that's huge.
So I literally took $80,000, bought 2 houses, free and clear. And so that $80,000 today is worth $250,000, $300,000. Yeah. And I've gotten $2,000 a month for the last 8 years on it. Yeah. So my $80,000 is more than double.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, how much does that yacht cost that you're looking to buy?
$1.6 million.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Well, I got to buy the airplane. It's another $1.4 million to get to the yacht. So,
that's great. And do you have any advice for somebody who's bought a house and has to make the wife happy when they find out? Like, how did you conquer that?
There's no conquer it. There's just die on your sword. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just, hey, I screwed up. Oh, by the way, here's a check for, oh, by the way, here's another check next month. Oh, by the way, here's another check. Oh, did I show you this check? and you know, every month, here's the mailbox money. Okay, it's automatically in our account. It's not even in the mailbox. It's automatically deposited in our account. Okay. Yeah. Well, you ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so my dad was a rich dad. My wife's dad spent 45 years at the phone company. He started sweeping the floors. He retired as a manager or whatever. Yep. Wouldn't take any risk. So she came from that. I came from, hey, let's buy properties, let's invest, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as I got some money, boom, you know, I did it. I should have asked first, but worked out pretty good. Yeah.
So maybe save up a couple months of checks that come in, so that way when you give the bad news, you can show all the paper trail of checks.
Well, thankfully, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, I bought a house a couple months ago. Here's the money.
Oh, that's great. Gavin, so if somebody's looking to get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
You can find me at gavinwelch.net. You can Google me. I'm all over the place. You know, reach out to me. My cell phone's everywhere on the phone, on my website. I'd love to talk to people. If I can help in any way I can, I'll gladly take a phone call and come up with a plan, help strategies, whatever I can do.
That's perfect. Well, Gavin, just want to say thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your success with us today.
Thank you, Seth. Anytime.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.